Halo Campaign Evolved. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Halo Campaign Evolved is a remaster of the beloved 2001 Combat Evolved, but with a brand new fresh coat of paint over the top of it, with added features such as new guns, new enemies, and almost completely remade levels. Although the story and pacing remains the same. There's a lot to like about Campaign Evolved, but there's equally enough stuff to dislike about it. First of all, I really don't think that we needed another remaster. I understand where they're going with it, wanting to basically restart the franchise since it's coming out on PlayStation, and to basically tell the story again from the beginning. But I really don't think a remastered game is what the franchise needed. I think Halo really needs some new content, and it just feels like Halo Studios is afraid to bring out new ideas and new content, and I can definitely understand why, since the franchise has been so mishandled over the last decade. But anyway, getting back to Campaign Evolved, it's made using the Unreal Engine 5. It also comes with 3 bonus prequel missions, which follow the story of Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson on an operation that takes place before Combat Evolved. It also features 4-player co-op, but there is no multiplayer or firefight, which is a huge letdown and really hurts the replayability of this game. The environments are stunning, and they've done really well to match the tone and vibe of the original, but making it look fresh and modern. Some of the Forerunner architecture doesn't quite hit the same as the original, and I think the overall look of it has been toned down a little. It's a lot more clean and polished, and the original was a lot sort of darker and ominous. Although they have absolutely smashed it out the park with 343 Guilty Spark. The tones and the darkness and the horror elements of this level is just unreal. The library is also fantastic. There's a lot more sort of flood biomass caked on the walls the further and further you get into the level, which really sets the tone very well. The character models are a little less impressive though. The original Marine designs from Combat Evolved have basically been scrapped. There are similar aspects to them, but they mostly just resemble the Halo Reach Marines now. Also, the Covenant has undergone some pretty big changes as well. There's a lot more variance to them, and the elites in particular don't look the same as they did in the original. Cortana also has a fresh new look, which I'm not particularly sold on. I do think it works, and I don't think it's a huge thing, but it definitely doesn't look and feel the same as the original Combat Evolved Cortana did. The music is fantastic. They've done well with that. It still hits and sounds the same it did all those years ago. So not a whole lot to touch on with that, but they've done well with it. They've also kept the original voice actors for Cortana and Chief. So Steve Downes and Jen Taylor have done a fantastic job as usual. And honestly, I don't think this remake would be possible if they weren't able to get Jen Taylor and Steve Downes again. Another major flaw with this game is the cutscenes. They're now just a pre-rendered video file basically, and they are just so off-putting. A lot of the times the lighting and scenes just don't even line up with what you're doing in the game. It's super jarring and just not well put together at all. I think there's a very big disconnect from the actual gameplay to the cutscenes. The sandbox has also been switched up quite a bit with the addition of quite a few new weapons, along with tweaks to some of the originals, like the AR and Magnum. The AR has a lot more stopping power and is a lot more accurate, so you can use it in a lot more situations, and particularly in those mid-range fights. But the Magnum has been kind of neutered. It doesn't have the same sort of stopping power and punch that it used to. So you definitely use the AR and Magnum a lot different than you did in the original. Like I mentioned, they also have a few new weapons, including the needle rifle, energy sword, fuel rod cannon, and a few more that are only used in the prequel missions. Obviously, sprint is now in the game as well. I'm sure everyone's heard about that. A lot of the Halo old heads are probably crying, and look, I'm a Halo old head as well, so I do sort of get it, I guess, but honestly, I don't think sprint is that big of a deal. I know the level designs aren't really catered for sprint, and so you can often just run past whole encounters if you so desire, but the way I play it, I just wasn't using sprint, and it really didn't affect me. I can see that it might impact new players' experience, because it's just so instinctive to just sprint everywhere these days. But I don't know, I feel like sprint has just gotten, it is just such a massive thing with Halo. I don't really get it. It's just such a massive thing that everyone keeps going on about. So I don't know, whether you love it or hate it, it's there, and I don't know, you can make up your own mind on that. Another thing that really caught me off guard and was a pretty big disappointment was the controls. I've been playing Halo since the original, and I've always had my button layouts the same way, but with the addition of sprint and aiming down sight for all guns, some of the buttons have been changed and moved around, and there's no setting to actually go back to the default settings of the original, which I think is pretty disappointing and is really taking me a lot longer to get used to than I would have liked. I guess because I've been using those controls for 20 years and now I'm suddenly having to sort of relearn how to do some things. It's not a major thing, but it is pretty annoying for the older gamers who have played the originals. And the AI in this game is absolutely fucking horrendous. They are just so dumb and watered down. So often you'll just be fighting enemies, and for some reason they're just standing still, staring at the wall or staring off into space doing nothing. Like in particular when you are saving the Marines from their prison cells, they are all just standing with the exact same pose in the exact same spot in all the prison cells. It just makes the game feel like there is just absolutely no soul to it, which is just an absolute letdown. They also don't sort of interact or do anything significant, or they're almost just like they're statues within the game. And the Covenant AI is the exact same, really. They are just so dumb and watered down. They, especially the elites, in the original you would throw grenades at them or start shooting and they would be jumping around and flipping around, rolling and doing all sorts of crazy parkour moves to try and, you know, avoid dying. But in the remake, you throw a grenade at them and they'll just stand there over the top of it and just blow up to it. They won't move around, they won't try and dodge, they won't try and do anything. It's really quite disappointing, and I think the AI is a major letdown for this game. It really takes away from the whole experience, to be honest. Vehicle hijacking is also a new feature that's been introduced. I think it's a good one. It doesn't really take away from anything, it doesn't change up the game significantly. I think it's just a fun little feature where you can just board sort of wraiths and take them down that way, or hijack ghosts. And overall, I think it's a good little feature. Speaking of vehicles, they all relatively feel the same and operate the same. There are small tweaks to sort of make them a bit better or drive a little easier. But I think the biggest letdown is the Scorpion. It doesn't feel or drive like a tank at all. It kind of just feels like a remote control car with a big cannon on the top of it. I don't know, it was weird. Kind of hard to put my finger on it, but it just did not feel great at all. The overall story and pacing was great. Kind of hard to mess that one up. It is a remaster, so you pretty much just had to copy what was already there. But the small changes that they made didn't take away from it or make it play or feel much different. They've added little things, but they've stayed relatively faithful to the original, and I think that's what was needed and what everyone wanted. So yeah, storyline was great, and pacing and atmosphere all fit really well and were all faithful. So all in all, the main campaign was fun. I did enjoy it, but some major flaws there that really take away from the whole experience. You're also really not getting that much content for a full priced game. So it was enjoyable. I did like it. But did we really need another remake? I don't think so. It was fun, but I mean, I've played through the campaign that many times. I know exactly what's going to happen, so I can see that I'm just going to play through this game maybe 1 or 2 times, and then that'll be it. It's going to sit on my shelf and really won't touch it again, especially since there is no replayability. There's no firefight, there's no multiplayer. There really just doesn't seem like there's anything that's going to keep you coming back. Which is pretty disappointing. I think we really just need some new Halo content, and I don't think remastered of a 25-year-old game is just the right move right now. But anyway, it's what we got. I've enjoyed it. It was fun enough, but that's about it really. I'm going to give the main campaign maybe a 7 out of 10. Now onto the prequel missions. The 3 bonus prequel missions take place a year before the events of Combat Evolved, and they follow Sergeant Johnson and the Chief on an operation called Operation Meteorite, which is basically them infiltrating and stealing data from a Covenant vessel called the Triumph of Tolerance. Now, hearing that, you probably think, wow, this sounds amazing. There's a lot of potential there, and there's so many directions and cool things that you could do with this. But unfortunately, it just misses the mark completely. Some of the lore choices just don't make any fucking sense at all. In particular, the brute controlling devices. Like, you could have had a sort of brute controlling device, but done it in a way that made sense. And they just didn't really do that with this. I mean, the whole thing with this Covenant ship that you're on is that they're sort of experimenting and augmenting particular Covenant species. So you could have done the brutes like, I don't know, an experiment gone wrong kind of thing. But they just didn't do anything like that. The writing is just terrible. Dialogue is so... I mean, I hate using this word, but it's fucking cringe. And the main sort of character that they're trying to introduce is this ODST chick who is just fucking insufferable. From the get-go, she basically hates Chief. Like, I understand the lore and... you know, ODSTs and the Spartans don't often get along, and that there is that sort of tension between the two, but it just wasn't done well. And she's just sitting there saying all this corny shit to you, and then after about half an hour, Chief says some corny one-liner, and then you're kind of just like mates after that. I don't know, it's just so bad. And I also might be in the minority for this, but Sergeant Johnson just does not feel like Sergeant Johnson at all. And I know that the original voice actor for Sergeant Johnson has retired, so they weren't able to get him again. But the overall just look and feel and dialogue that he has, it just doesn't feel like Sergeant Johnson at all. I don't think it's one particular thing that I can put my finger on. It just, I think it's a combination of lots of little things. Visually and environment wise, the prequel missions are fantastic. Like, for instance, there's a Sangheili training room where there's 2 elites fighting each other with swords, and there's all this sort of ornate armor around, and it's just a beautiful sort of scene. But the environment and visual aspects are about the only thing that I actually like about these prequel missions. Unfortunately, in true 343 fashion, they've just missed the mark completely and kind of fucked it up, to be honest with you. The prequel missions I'm giving probably like a 4.5 out of 10. Terrible. I honestly have, other than going back and getting the achievements, I really have no desire to play the prequel missions again. So that's my sort of overall views and opinions on Halo Campaign Evolved. All in all, I'm probably going to give it, with the prequel missions and main storyline, maybe like a 6.5 out of 10. It's okay. It does some things well, but there's just major flaws in it, and I really don't think it's something that was completely necessary right now. You're also not getting much content for a full-priced game. So overall, fairly disappointed. There are some things to like, but I think there's more things to dislike. If you enjoyed, please feel free to give me a subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.